Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Well, this is Shades of Resilience here with the special Dolce K in the house tonight. So, welcome,
Hey.
welcome. Dolce, welcome, guys. So Dulcie's here. We're gonna do a really quick but very informative live for you guys tonight. So recently in these YouTube streets, we've been seeing a lot of talk about how followers or subscribers should disconnect from colorism channels, right? And so not every colorism channel is negative. Some of the colorism channels are very educational and informative, like Dulce Cake and Shades of Resilience. On my channel, I just simply um, talk about colorism in a holistic and healing way. I also do exposure, but I give people all the elements. So, not just exposure, but you get education behind it, and you also get solutions to fix the problems. So, today we're going to actually discuss a little bit about colorism and how it's still taboo and a nuance to talk about light skinned Black people's colorism issues. But in reality, both skin tones within the Black community have historically dealt with colorism and racism since the beginning of colonism. And Dulcie, towards the end, Dulcie is going to share her study and findings of a case regarding colorism with a light skinned Black person. So we are excited about this discussion tonight. Before I dive deeper into the color complex discussion, I just want to give Dulcie a chance to kind of introduce her channel if you guys haven't heard about her channel yet before, and then we'll get into the discussion. So, Dulcie, if you want to do like a quick introduction for yourself or your channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for collaborating with me or inviting me to this. I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and it helps me to feel not so alone out here in these YouTube streets.
Right.
Very similar to yeah, very similar to your channel, Shades of Resilience. My channel also does have a slightly more educational approach um, to exploring colorism and specifically our experience with colorism. And you'll notice on my channel I use words like skin tone discrimination. That's because I have quite a few videos about, or maybe a couple of videos because I'm a new channel, about just the legal perspective on that, as well as the psychological perspective behind a colorism, and what experiencing it can do to you. If you are a light-skinned Black woman who's been told that, hey, you're not experiencing colorism, you're just experiencing bullying. Like, I address those kinds of things from both a legal perspective and a perspective of like self-love and psychology. And so my goal on my channel is to uplift light-skinned Black women in hopes that we will inspire other women, other Black women. I'm a huge believer in, self first. So that's why my channel focuses on light skinned Black women and our experiences with color discrimination. I think that channels like mine and channels like Shades of Resilience can really do a lot of groundbreaking work to help our community of women overcome colorism, regardless of their skin tone.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like perfect, Dulcie. Thank you for that. And thank you for your friendship and collaboration. So it's greatly appreciated. That was a lovely introduction. And pretty much, me and Dulcie is pretty similar, but a little different. But we are very similar in like our goals of what we want to accomplish. So I thought that was a perfect introduction. And so light skinned black women and light skinned black people in general is like the last taboo color discrimination in the black community that people are
Mhm.
comfortable addressing, or not comfortable, excuse me, addressing. And so what you guys are witnessing, for Dulcie and I, who are like a monoracial black woman, we do have some admixtures in us, but you know that we're actually breaking history publicly, because this is a very still a very taboo issue within African Americans. And so I love for people to educate themselves about colorism better. And so, a book that I highly recommend is called The Color Complex. And it talks about the politics of skin color among African Americans. Now, what's very, very cool and fascinating about this book is that it was written by a light skinned Black woman and a dark skinned Black woman, as well as a Black man. And so it is giving you a holistic viewpoint of colorism, which I absolutely love. The author's name is Kathy Russell, Midge Wilson, and Ronald Hall. The book presents a powerful argument backed by historical fact and um, anecdotal evidence that color prejudice remains a devastating divide within Black America. Now, I'm going to do a special treat for you guys and simply just read an introduction of the book. Um, and one of the things I love about the book is that it really keeps it like all the way 100, y'all. When I tell you, these ladies did a phenomenal job. Like, it even exposes how I'm going to get into the introduction, but just so that you guys can be curious and buy the book, it even goes as far about showing you how Black Americans in general um, contributed to colorism after segregation by segregating themselves. So there is actually a cultural social thing among Blacks at the time, that they thought that to get better economic opportunities after segregation, that they should create their own societies. So even in my state where I live at, there's still a historical site called the Brown Society. And what happened was they thought that segregating themselves by skin tones would help the Black race, and they all thought this. So the dark skinned Black
Wow.
people, yeah, it's real shocking. Yeah, it has some deep history in this book that you guys that will change the way you think about colorism. That's why I'm so big on people not dismissing light skinned Black people's experiences, especially when I was able to read this missing history that is like swept under the rug for other narratives to be pushed. But they actually agreed upon doing this. They wanted to separate themselves by skin tone. So you had the dark skinned Blacks, the light skinned Black, the mulatto elite. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So when people joke about like biracial nationalism, and on YouTube, they're saying some harmful stuff, because there was a time where Blacks, even mulattoes, after segregation, felt like they had to actually have secret societies.
Wow.
So
I never knew that.
it's a very deep book. There was the light skin society, the brown skin, the dark skin, and it also played into how we date to this day. It's wild. So, but I don't want to spill all the juice, but I do want to read an introduction, which is very inspirational for me, on why I really feel like we should continue to have these discussions regarding skin tone discrimination, like Dolce has mentioned. So, this introduction is going to talk a little bit about dark skinned people's colorism, but towards the end, you're going to see why I'm talking about light skinned Black people colorism issue is very important. So listen up, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So it says here, interracial color discrimination is an embarrassing and controversial subject for African Americans, which is true, y'all. While many prefer not to discuss it, especially in the company of whites, which I've heard people say that before. Others contend that skin color bias no longer exists and that it's history, water over the dam. Yet, beneath the surface appearance of Blacks' solidarity lies a matrix of attitudes about skin colors and features in which color, not character, establishes friendships, degree of lightness, not expertise, influences hiring, and complexion, not talent, dictates casting for television and film. And that's gonna get deeper, y'all. And that's why I love that Exoticals. I'm gonna pause a bit, but I love the fact that Exoticals United talks a lot about featureism because that does
Mm-hmm.
impact the biracial. So like when people say Exoticals doesn't support the biracial movement, she really does. Like when you
Yep.
guys read this book, you will see the fact that it talks a lot about featureism as part of color discrimination too. But let me continue to read. It says, in the world of entertainment, a Black superstar has surgically altered his features to the point where he no longer looks Black. Delve a little deeper, and you will find a reservoir of guilt and anger that threatens to overflow, exposing to African Americans the truth that skin color still matters. So during the 1990s, Black filmmaker Spike Lee directed, produced, and starred in a musical, School Days, about obsession with skin color on a Black college campus. Although he was criticized by some members of his own community for airing their dirty laundry, Lee returned to the subject in Jungle Fever. And I know a good bit of us probably watched that, especially we're the 90s kids or 89 kids, which also explored the passions of interracial sexual lizations. And Jungle Fever, a dark-skinned Black named Flipper, which Wesley Snipes played, is happily married to a lighter-skinned Black woman, Drew, which her real name was Lynette McKee, until he becomes sexually involved with his white secretary, Annabella. When Drew discovers the affair, her temper flares. Not so much because her husband has been unfaithful, but because he has been unfaithful with a white woman. In a pivotal scene, she rails, quote unquote, what I mean is you've got a complex about color. So she's pretty much calling, uh, this dark skinned Black man out for colorism, right? So this is what she says. She says, what I mean is you've got a complex about color. You've always had it. I never wanted to believe it until now. So this is referencing to his affair
Mm-hmm.
with a white woman. She said, I told you what happened to me when I was growing up. And here's what she's saying, which many of us exoticals can relate to. She said, I told you what I went through growing up. I told you how they called me high yellow, yellow B, white honky, honky, white, white N white, uh, cockaroon, quadroon, half breed, mongrel. So, in telling Flipper he has a complex about color, Drew is accusing him of an old prejudice among Blacks, a prejudice she knows intimately because she looks white. Traditionally, the color complex involved light skinned Blacks' rejections of Blacks who were darker. Increasingly, however, the color complex shows up in the form of dark skinned African Americans spurring their light skinned brother and sisters for not being black enough. Did y'all catch this? And now this is written by a dark skinned black woman who is saying this, that this is the new modern day colorism. And this is someone, and I want to mention that this dark skinned woman went through some severe colorism issues. And this was written by both a light skinned woman and a dark skinned woman. So I want y'all to pay attention because this part is very important. I'm going to repeat it real quick. She said, increasingly, however, the color complex shows up in the form of dark skinned African Americans spurring their light skinned brothers and sisters for not being black enough. The complex even includes attitudes about hair texture, nose shape, and eye color. In short, the color complex is a psychological fixation about color and features that leads blacks to discriminate against each other. Now, notice they didn't talk about which skin tone is doing it. Let's read it again. It leads blacks, dark, light, mix, it leads blacks to discriminate against each other. Because the color complex has long been considered unmentionable, it has been called the last taboo among African Americans. So, what she's pretty much saying is the last taboo is pretty much us, the light skin. No one wants to talk about it. She said the color complex may reveal itself in a variety of ways wherever blacks come together, in families, at work, and social settings. An uncensored comment may slip unexpectedly into a conversation, wreaking emotional havoc. An insensitive relative may criticize a black child for having a nappy head. A black supervisor may create tension in the office by harping on a subordinate's lighter skin color. And that's where she's gonna dive deep in about that one, saying he or she had it too easy. Oh my God. Y'all, I can so much relate to this.
Yeah.
The
That's
the
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, this book is deep. So I'm gonna stop there and let Dulcie have the floor. But I like this book got me excited again because now I'm gonna like reread it because there's so many gems from this book that I can create content on. It's amazing.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
Dulcie, if you wanna kind of dive into that even this book supports and backs up your research you did.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing and reading those pages of the book because I have yet to actually purchase the book and read it. But just the fact that it's written by a light-skinned black woman and a dark-skinned black woman just made me light up inside because I'm like, wow, okay, finally this is a piece of what we need, you know. So I really appreciate you reading that because now we can clearly see that in the the academic platforms, the scholars are recognizing that light-skinned black people do experience colorism, and it's about time. It's about
Yes.
time. The very first case of same race color discrimination for among black people that we saw in the United States was Tracy Morrow versus the IRS. And I remember reading through everything that happened in the case before it got a final adjudication. And can you believe that the U.S. Attorney's Office was really trying to argue? And this is back in 1989, by the way. So, just to give you a reference point, Alice Walker colorism definition, that was like in 1983, I think. And so this case I'm talking about is in 1989, Tracy Morrow versus IRS. And the attorney general was trying to argue that, it is simply not feasible for a lighter skinned black person to be discriminated against by a darker skinned black person. Okay, and so this is something completely new to the EEO, to like the Equal Employment Opportunity Office or Commission. I don't think a lot of investigators during that time
Hey
knew how
guys,
to.
Dolce, did we lose you?
No, are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Yeah, I am talking.
Hey guys, if you can still hear
Yeah.
us, put a one in the chat for me. Okay, I think I lost Dulcie. You can hear Dulcie? Okay. I think we just lost Dulcie though. Um, but I'm gonna give her a chance to come back on a live. If not, we'll wrap it up. Um, but thank you, Brulee, for okay, there she goes. Let me get her back in here. Okay. All
Hey,
right,
can you
there
hear
we
me?
go. We got Dulcie back. Yes, I can hear you now. I'm better, love. I think
Okay.
maybe the
Um,
internet broke us up.
what was the last thing you heard? Because I was still talking.
And you want to just kind of start from the beginning? Because I
Yeah,
think
that's
I could
fine.
hear you at one point.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just saying that this means a lot to me that scholars are now recognizing that light-skinned black people do experience color discrimination
Yes.
because the last time that we ever really heard the academic sector or the legal sector making it known that light-skinned black people might in fact experience color discrimination was in 1989 when Tracy Morrow took the IRS to court because she believed that she was being discriminated against by her black female supervisors who were darker skinned. And can you believe that the Attorney General at that time, the U.S. Attorney General, was trying to basically argue that it's simply impossible. It's simply not feasible for a lighter skinned black person to be discriminated against by a darker skinned black person. And thanks to that case, even though she didn't win her case because it was a new topic, no one really understood colorism in that way yet. I don't think investigators even knew how to investigate that. But the administrative judge, the Supreme Court judge, he basically ruled that, hey, race and color are two different things. They're going to be defined differently. And I don't care, or he didn't say I don't care, but I'm just giving you, I'm paraphrasing it. You can look at the legal analysis online. And the judge is basically saying it doesn't matter if this person, if other people think that this person doesn't look black enough, or if other people think that this person is or isn't light skinned. Their DNA is they're African. That's their race. So we're going to separate what they look like, and he uses the word physiognomy from their race. So basically, those two things are not defined the same, and because of that, anyone, everyone of every skin tone is protected against color discrimination, even when it happens within your same race. So even if you're at school or if you're at work, and someone, even if you guys share the same skin tone, but someone is or treating you poorly or creating a hostile environment at your job because they feel like dark skinned black women shouldn't behave this way, or they feel like light skinned black women shouldn't behave that way,
Mm.
that's still violating your civil rights. And so Tracy Morrow was a government worker because she worked for the IRS. So government workers have a lot more advantages in this process of like submitting a claim. And so I really do appreciate how she used her status as a government employee to really get this out into the Supreme Court and make history for us. Otherwise, we most likely would have still been here today in 2024 with race and color being understood to be the same thing for Black people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amen. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm so happy to find that Dolce found that information of history. What I've come to found is that anytime there's some severe discrimination regarding light skinned Black Americans, there's always a cover up or hidden history. So I'm so happy Dulce found that because it definitely helped me heal on my healing journey of knowing the truth. You know, the Bible says the truth shall set you free. So it's good to know that what we feel has not just been in our heads this whole time, that we have been getting discriminated against. So yeah, I would highly recommend you guys check out the book. I'll still do a bit of some commentary on the book. But the color complex is a much needed and insightful examination of color prejudice, which presents among Americans. And it illustrates how deeply white racism continues to intrude on the Black psyche and behavior. That was a quote by Alvin, a Harvard Medical School doctor. There's another quote that says a serious scholar work that tackles an extremely sensitive topic with compassion and objectivity. And that's what one of my
Mm.
inspirations was for my channel too, was to do this in a compassionate but objective way, and one that just really tells the truth. um what I also like about the book is um it dives into like dating. I mean, it gets so deep, y'all. It not only does it tell you
I gotta
that,
get this book.
yeah,
I have
the
to.
date. Like page 107. Okay, y'all. I'm after 107. I'll quit. I won't read no more. But let me just look at 107 because I know they had some juicy stuff about the dating thing. It was so interesting. Um, Cause some of these things, ooh, yeah, this is so deep that that probably requires a video than a live. Yeah, this one gets real deep about starts getting real deep about the fetishizing with light skinned Black women or white women in general. It it talks about interracial dating too, and here how it started. So a lot of the interracial dating had started due to economic advantages, as well as dark skinned Black people felt like they needed to date um, light skinned or white people to come up economically. Like, y'all, the book goes real, real deep. I'm telling you. And so that's why, it's still a taboo thing when people talk about light skinned Black discrimination, because people feel like, oh, light skinned Blacks are valued the same as white Americans. When light skinned Black people, we know that's not true. Especially
It's far
those
from the
of us
truth.
that grew up, in the southern states. We know that white
Mhm.
people do not accept us as their own. Even when you're
Mhm.
biracial, like my best friend, who my best childhood friend, she could pass as Meghan Markle, but she had a nice little golden tan to her. And when we was in a flea market, this white man had called us cornbread N words, and we were kids, but
Mm.
he just wanted to be a racist jackass, so um I can tell you, like, oh, and another cool thing too, it does talk about location discrimination.
Yeah,
And
can you
so,
read the I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you
mhm.
when you get a chance, can you read the table of contents for us?
Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to do. I'm glad you said that. Great minds think alike. Because, okay, so yeah, because the table of contents is actually straightforward. I love it. So, yeah, let me give y'all a little sneak peek about the table of contents. So, in the beginning, it has a little introduction, which I read for y'all. And then it talks about masters, slaves, and lovers. Yeah, that's a juicy one. I'm about to be like texting Dolce, and we gonna be doing like another collab video. Like, Dolce girl, what you think
Book
about
club. Book
this?
club.
They got the color gap and power and privilege. That one, ooh, that one is good. Embracing whiteness, black identity, shades of beauty and pride. Hair, the straight and nappy of it all. I tell y'all, they keep it 100 in this book. They talk about divided families and friends. Ain't that true? Mm-mm-mm.
Mhm.
Dating and mating, a question of color. Color harassment in the workplace. And that one deals with a lot of light skin discrimination, that chapter. Um, they trying to come for our money. We can't have that. The media images in black and light. I need to reread that one. Um, and what's funny is about this book, so these gems are coming back at me strong. When I read this book, I was reading this book in a place of brokenness. So now me rereading it from healing and going to therapy, it just puts it in another on a whole nother level for me. I know Dolce now. Dolce now start something with that table of contents, y'all. Y'all know me, Dolce about to be hitting me up. So Brittany, we gonna do a collab on this. I'm like, yes, sis, let's go, let's do it.
Yes, this sounds really juicy. I was like cracking up at the titles of the chapters.
Yeah, right. The titles are funny and they are deep too. Like they go deep into the social aspects because that's what I love. We always hear the history about stuff, but how was the people actually thinking? Like what was their mindset at the time? Just like how as
Right.
YouTubers, we can understand the social dynamic on YouTube with the YouTube wars. Well, this book gives us the history, the evidence, and the actual culture of the mindset at that time. So it is so cool. And it also kind of bridges us back to the modern day colorism. And what I love about it too, nobody can say, oh, it was just a bunch of light skin and what did they call us? And what's the word when people want to like untouched?
Ambiguous.
No,
What?
no, no. It's what's the word you say when people feel like you're out of touch with reality. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that.
That's the word I was looking
Okay.
for. Yeah, so like they can't say, oh, it was just from a light skinned person's perspective and they're just doing that because they
Yeah,
don't want
no.
to. Yeah, no, it was actually written mostly by a dark skinned woman. And she said
Mhm.
she didn't want to be biased because I had got the tea, honey. She said she didn't want to be negative in her approach. So she made sure to get the light skin perspective too. And he even talk about colorism locations, how in the South, actually lighter skinned black people tend to have more colorism issues than those up north. And I was like, okay, now that makes sense why when I'm talking to like people in the north who are light skinned, they usually don't have the same experiences. But when I'm talking to light
Right,
skinned black
exactly.
people in the south, they're like, "Oh yeah, girl, I can relate to that. I can relate to that." And then when you talk to the ones in the north, they're like, "Oh no, you guys don't want to accept your privileges." It's like a
That is
complete
so
different
true.
experience.
Oh my God, no, that is so true because I have family in both like the North and the South, and it's just so crazy how certain things are just not relatable for them. Like even down to like the way that we speak, like they're like, "You're still saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Like you're not a slave."
Yeah.
Like they get offended. They get
Yeah.
offended.
Oh yeah, and me and Dolce, honey, we had strike a nerve with the little lady we did a commentary on. She was like, haters, 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 in a short. It was so funny. She didn't like direct it at me and Dulcie, but she was like, these haters. And she was like, I'm gonna go and up these comments and delete. I haven't gotten banned from her channel yet, so but I just thought it was funny. If she was sneak dissing, it was absolutely hilarious. If you don't know what we're talking about, watch me and Dulcie's other live.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's always funny when like the trolls come out or like when the trolls get exposed and they realize like, hey, like you really don't know what you're talking about. Like you really don't know. Like you wouldn't imagine like how many people like come into my comments and are like, "Oh, you're mixed," or "Oh, you're not that light skin," or
Mm.
"Oh, you're not that black," or all of this stuff, and it's just like, who cares? Like at the end of the day, you're going to find value in what we're doing with, bringing a positive narrative towards the colorism discussion and, breaking down harmful rhetoric and trying to empower everyone to stand up against skin tone discrimination, or you're not. You're either going to be all about the drama and trying to get all of these ad hominem comments in, or you're going to fall in line with our content and our mission
Oh,
and be a part of,
mhm.
this positive impact that we're trying to make. So,
I know
yeah.
that. But Dulcie, that was fire, Dulcie. I love that. Yes, either you're gonna align and catch up or get left in the dust, pretty much. I love it, love it, love
Exactly.
it. I love it. But yeah, on a serious tip though, me and Dulcie is very serious about these issues. We come at you with a holistic, educational, and evidence approach. So when people tell you guys, because there were channels. I'm gonna wrap it up here now, but there were channels recently once Exoticals United started helping us content creators get our messages out there. And shout out to Golden Goddess too, or Gigi. She was promoting my videos and stuff too. But once our little mini channels started popping up, like Dulce's and me and some other channels, all of a sudden now colorism is training, talking about colorism. But they supported, I won't say her name, a YouTuber for many, many years who went after light skinned black people. And our channels are educational. Even our fun exotical channels, it's still has a very educational approach. Even when we're somewhat trolling, I've noticed like our channels do really stick to the core of our values, which I absolutely love. Because our channels aren't like hateful. And I do realize that people can be kind of hateful in some of those niches, but our channels aren't. So you don't have to unsubscribe to me and Dulce's
Yeah.
channels that talk
And
about
another thing,
colorism.
another thing I want to point out is that, not every channel is perfect, right?
Exactly.
So, like, we're never going to fall into this whole holier than thou thing. So, we actually have the ability to support other channels that may have made like, mistakes or may have, talking points that are more extreme than our own. We're still able to support people who we even disagree with on some points. So,
Mhm.
um, you know, getting over this us versus them mentality is really key. Getting over this, oh, I can't support this person anymore because she said something I didn't agree with. Like
Right.
this conversation about colorism deserves a higher level of maturity.
Amen.
So please get over yourself. If you don't like what a channel is saying about one particular topic or subject or one talking point that they made, You don't have to, make it a mission to like try to deplatform them or to try to like run away scared, that you're going to get brainwashed or something. Like, you should be confident enough in yourself to compartmentalize and take the good and leave the bad, whatever that is for you. So we're all adults here. Yeah, just, use your own discernment. But yeah, my
Facts.
channel and Shades of Resilience channel, it's all about bringing in the history, the historical receipts, the legal receipts, the anecdotal receipts to discuss light skinned Black women's experience with colorism. And we're not against anybody here.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Me and Dulcie, we're not like with the drama. We just want to create and really heal and make an impact. So we're definitely like you'll probably never see me and Dulcie fall out. We're just not those type of females. We just want to really get our messages out there and help you guys heal, help the awareness, help things become impactful because we're actually making history. All of the exotical channels are making history, as you guys can see in the book by scholars, people who are really, really like smart, like high IQ levels, who spend their time studying a lot of historical information. They even said that these topics are nuances. So that's why you're not going to see me or Dulcie make a fool out of ourselves when we're doing our content, because we're all of us ladies are making history by even talking about light skin discrimination. Even a scholar who is dark skinned said that this topic is taboo that needs to be discussed mainstream. She's pretty much saying that in the book. But it keeps being thrown under the rug. The only way that these issues is gonna have resolution is for our channels to talk about them and be able to talk about them in an educational and solution oriented way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but we're gonna call it a quits. I know Dulcie's tired. I'm tired. I had a long day
Yeah.
today. But we love you guys. We thank you guys for supporting us. And I love Dulcie. Thank you so much for coming on the live with me at the last minute to
Yes, of course. No, thank
do
you. And this was really divine timing, Shades, because like I literally just finished editing a video that was literally going to be talking about colorism channels and how like, it's not all bad, and highlighting the opportunities for improvement and things like that. So this was just another confirmation that I know that this, connection was definitely meant to be. So thank you so much, girl.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Love you always. You got my support always. Well, stay tuned, you guys, for Dulce's content, her videos dropping. I can't wait to hear it. She always just comes with those nice receipts. I love it. I love it. I love the
Thank you.
yes, yes. All right. Well, good night, guys. We love you guys. Stay blessed out there. Stay informed. Peace.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.